let's just take a moment and say, wow, to this passage. This is one of those passages that preachers either love to preach for all sorts of complicated reasons, or else they're afraid to touch it for equally complicated reasons. And I don't know if I know which one I am yet, so I figured by the end of this sermon we could help me figure that out. There's a lot going on in this text, and the problem with the Bible, can I say that, is that I just have so much I want to say about it, but I only have like 15 minutes. So we're going to focus on 3 words. You may have guessed what they are. Way, truth, life. What might it mean for us to hear this Jesus saying those words to us today? Where have these words led the people of God, and where could they be leading us? I am the way, the truth, and the life. But first I want to tell you a story. This is a true story. This is a true story that actually happened. I hate standing in lines. Anyone else? I hate standing in lines at the airport. I hate standing in lines at the airport when I got a phone call saying my flight was canceled, rebooked, and then delayed, setting me up on a connecting flight that's going to make me miss my flight back to New York. I hate standing in that line, especially when the kiosk says it can't find me on the machine anymore, so I have to stand in line. And the line is filled with people all holding these giant bags, and I just have a little backpack. I'm like, come on, people, let me just do my thing. I wait and I wait. I'm in Chicago. The FAA radar had a meltdown of some sort, and all the planes were grounded, so I was stuck. My direct flight that I think I was going to get upgraded to first class on got canceled. And they were booking me through Detroit on a flight that was already delayed, meaning I would miss my flight to New York. Isn't that lovely? I get to the front of the line. I finally finagle my way to having a ticket that's worth something because the one I had before was therefore worthless. I make it through security, get to the gates, and I start looking around because I'm very aware when I'm in airports of, could I get on a different flight? So I'm like, okay, I'm on this flight to Detroit that's not going to get me anywhere. Wait, what is this flight going directly to LaGuardia, and why am I not on that? So I go stand in a line with a ticket to Detroit in my hand, waiting for a plane to LaGuardia. And I get to the front of the line, and I say, so I'm on this flight. Here's the scenario. I may have been flirting a little bit. And the woman tells me, we'll put you on standby. All right, I can handle this. So now I have a ticket to Detroit and a standby ticket maybe to New York. Both planes leave at 7:30 p.m., directly across the hall from each other. So I'm standing in between, going back and forth from counter to counter to make sure I don't miss anything, because the worst thing would be to be stuck with both of these tickets and the planes are gone. The one plane that's going to Detroit is boarding. The plane that's going to be leaving for LaGuardia finally arrives, and I'm still on standby. I'm going back and forth telling these people, okay, I'm on the flight to Detroit, and this is probably a good flight for me because it'll get me a little closer to home, but I really want to go to New York. Okay, I would like to be on this flight to New York, but can I get in it? She's like, the plane is just getting in. So I'm stuck with these 2 tickets, one maybe worth something and one maybe worth something, waiting in these lines. I decide I might as well take the plane that's actually going to have a seat for me since it's about to take off now, and this one still is leaving me waiting in a line. So I get on the plane to Detroit to cross my fingers and see if I'll catch my next flight. I'm going to tell you the end of the story a little bit later. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now, I don't know about you, but I grew up hearing this passage read a very specific way. The first part of it is simply this: I am the way, meaning we live here, and Jesus will beam me up to heaven. Jesus is like our escape ship off of this dirty earth to this pristine place called heaven. If you're a philosophy major, this sounds a lot like Plato. But what if we have the one-way sign wrong? What if Jesus is not our way to God, but what if Jesus is God's way to us? What if Jesus isn't something that lets me escape this world, but what if Jesus is a piece of heaven that crashes into this earth and that impact changes everything? When Jesus says, I am the way, maybe he's not taking me someplace else, but he's reminding me that God has found God's way into the midst of this good and dirty earth. I like that way. Has anyone ever seen the movie WALL-E? And it's one of the most profoundly theological films of our lifetime. In this film, we see this lovely robotic creature who meets, another lovely robotic creature named Eva. Adam, Eve, we got a little biblical imagery going on already. They are left on this human and God-forsaken earth, pushing dirt and garbage around, only to eventually catch a ride on a spaceship where they find all the humans. They've gone to some other heavenly realm in the sky, which isn't really so heavenly, as the movie shows us. The humans are just lying on these hovercrafts of sort, drinking big gulps. But the movie ultimately reminds us that the trajectory is back to the earth. It is not about escaping this world, it's about reshaping this world. And if something as simple as a robot named WALL-E can teach us that, I think Jesus might have a few words to say too. You see, the great prophet Belinda Carlisle had it right. Heaven is a place on earth. What if we actually treated it that way? Instead of this one-way sign that we think we're hightailing it out of here, what if we actually said there is goodness in the midst of this dirt? Second word, truth. I am the truth. Now, growing up with this word, it was a little bit divisive. It was a claim. It was, I have the truth, therefore you have the false. The word truth seems like it often gets co-opted into this me versus you, us versus them, in versus out, I'm right and you're wrong kind of dialectic. Is that what Jesus is talking about? No, I like to ask, if Jesus were talking about this to us here in this room, to these people watching online today, maybe he would nuance it to say, no, truth. You see, Jesus is the truth, meaning Jesus is the true human. Jesus is not a superhuman. Jesus is truly human. Jesus doesn't show me how to be somewhere else. Jesus shows me how to truly be right here where I am. Aliens and robots, right? When we think of Jesus as an alien, this otherworldly being, we try to become something other than that which we are. But when we see Jesus as truly human, and we follow this truly human Jesus on a way to this earth, we discover what it means for us to be truly human. I don't know about you, but sometimes I find myself living my life as if I were a robot, a human doing, rather than a human being. But this truly human Jesus invites me to see the truly human me and the truly human you, which is a little dangerous when you start seeing your enemies as truly human as well, because God might just love them. Life. Let me finish my airplane story. I get on the plane, going to Detroit, not upgraded to first class, 2 rows behind first class, so I'm watching all of that happen. Do you know they serve actual glassware in first class? I've seen it. I can testify. I get to Detroit, look at my phone, check Delta, only to see that the flight from Detroit to LaGuardia has, in fact, left. All right, I'll get a hotel. Before I get to the hotel, I'm going to go get my ticket. So I have it in my hands, the one that will bring me back home to New York. I want to go home. I don't want to be stuck in Detroit. I love Detroit. I'm from Michigan. It's all good. I go to the hotel, order a pizza, because that's how I cope with my feelings. I wake up in the morning. I was told the shuttle leaves every half hour. On the half hour, I have a 7:40 flight. I'll get to the shuttle at 6 a.m., plenty early, so I'm not going to be rushed at all. Yes, you know where this is going. I get downstairs 5:55, 5 minutes to spare, only to find out that the shuttle left 5 minutes ago. So much for on the half an hour. And the next shuttle's not coming till 6:30, which by 6:30 they really mean 6:40. And when the shuttle does come, it's already full of people, but I'm a New Yorker, so I'm used to that, so I just get on anyway. Finally get myself to the airport, only to realize that ticket I printed is in my hotel room. So I'm gonna go wait in a line at the airport because my flight was canceled and rebooked and delayed, leaving me in Detroit. I wait in the line, a little bit of flirting. Once again, the woman says, "We can't find you in the system." Finally, they find me in the system. They give me that magic piece of paper that will get me home to New York, and I go into the security line, everyone's favorite part. Now, this security line had this little touchscreen thing from the person saying this way or that way. You might go through the pre-approved line or the other line. I get the pre-approved line. Yes, finally. Keep my shoes on, keep my laptop in my bag. You get to the front, they do this hand swap thing, put it in the machine. I set the machine off. So a security guard has to take me to the other line, walk me through that line, take everything out of my bag to be looked over. There's only like 3 things in there. It was a one-night flight. Then they take me to a back room to pat me down. All the while, by the way, I'm looking at my phone, realizing I was standing in that ticket line, and it was 7 o'clock for my 7:40 flight. I got to the security line at 7:20 for my 7:40 flight. Now I'm getting patted down by security at 7:30 for my 7:40 flight. I just want to go home. I finally make it through, get to the gate, get on my plane, and come home. Do you ever find yourself so distracted by the place you want to be that you miss out on where you are? Do you ever find yourself waiting in line for something, wanting to get to the other side, ignoring the fact that you actually are someplace in this moment? I realized this during this whole ordeal. I just wanted to be somewhere else, and that caused me to miss out on where I was. When Jesus says, "I am the life," sometimes we get so caught up on a life that's somewhere else that we miss out on the life right here where we are. I'm not saying let's not talk about an afterlife, but when that's the only thing you're focused on, you might miss the ground beneath your feet. It is a gift to be where you are. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop once in a while, you might just miss it. You see, the waiting in line, the checking your phone, the almost being late, and sometimes being late, this is the life. Life is not about escaping this. Life is about embracing this and maybe even partnering with God to reshape this. When we talk about rehearsing the reign of God, we're not talking about an escape strategy. We're talking about a reshape strategy where we take the world around us and we live in it in such a way that our hands might get a little dirty. We might have some dirt underneath our fingernails, but we can say that this is good. This is why we make sandwiches every Sunday and bring them to the park, because this is the life. This is why we hold prayer vigils on a Tuesday night, and we will keep praying for those 276 girls and all the girls around the world who are taken, because this is the life. This matters. The good news is not that we're going somewhere else. The good news is that God has come right here. The good news is that when you meet a God right here, you can discover what it means to be truly you. And the good news is that life has already begun. The question is, will you stop waiting in line and start living it? Because, friends, this is the life. May it be so today and every day. Amen.